Big changes are coming to how you play the Texas lottery as it faces more scrutiny from state leaders.
The questions lawmakers have for the Texas Lottery Commission as Governor Greg Abbott orders investigations into recent jackpots. Plus, there is continued confusion for federal workers as Elon Musk demands a recap of their recent work. What President Trump is now saying about that request.
And we take a look at yesterday's highs hitting the mid-70s. It looks like we're going to hit that again, but how many more days can we expect that? That's coming up in your first morning weather.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
Major changes are coming to the way millions of Texans play the lottery in our state.
The Texas Lottery Commission now said that it would ban lottery courier services. These allow you to order tickets online or through an app. The decision comes after pressure from Texas lawmakers. They have issues with potential money laundering and underage players buying tickets. Now Governor Abbott says that the Texas Rangers will investigate recent jackpot wins. KXAN's Sarah Alsha explains what lawmakers want to know, why this took so long.
I would love to have an answer to my question.
Hours of heated discussion about recent developments with the Texas Lottery.
I hear your words, but nothing explains what changed.
At the State Affairs Committee hearing on Monday, repeated questions about why the Texas Lottery Commission did not ban courier services sooner. The services allowed people to order tickets online or through an app.
You have consistently said you don't have the authority to do anything about the couriers. And you did it under oath last Wednesday at the Finance Committee hearing. What changed?
The commission says part of that decision came because of an $83 million Lotto Texas jackpot win through the app Jackpocket. It owns and operates this Austin-based retail store, Winner's Corner. Despite being located in an area with little foot traffic, they generated the most lottery ticket sales in 2023. IGT, the lottery operator in Texas, told senators the store had 47 machines, the most delivered to any one location. A typical convenience store only has one.
It wasn't 47 at once. They grew their business and the growing sales required the terminals. The lottery licenses these retailers and indicates to us that it is appropriate and in fact directs us to install terminals, provide the necessary supplies and equipment for these retailers to sell.
The Texas Rangers opened an investigation. Governor Greg Abbott announced the agency will also look into a $95 million jackpot win from April 2023, where a single entity bought almost every single combination of tickets.
This is probably the greatest fraud perpetrated on the state of Texas by any group ever.
The commission dropping a bombshell in the hearing that there was a second attempt to do this.
That group or someone substantially affiliated with that group was planning and preparing to buy a substantial number of tickets in December 2024. As soon as I found out about that, I instructed IGT to initiate an emergency code release, and I also went and briefed many of the members of Sunset and of State Affairs. I was in the Capitol for a significant amount of time on that day in December.
Now, as there's momentum to change and prevent these situations again, lawmakers ask how the commission plans to restore public confidence in the Texas lottery.
I think it's going to be a long road. We have to make sure that we show the public that we're taking these actions to restore that public trust.
Sarah Alsha, KXAN News.
Sarah, thank you. A lot of updates there. We do want to note Republican State Senator Bob Hall, who you heard from in Sarah's story, introduced a bill to criminalize playing the lottery online. And late last night, after hours of that witness testimony, that bill did pass out of committee and is now headed to the full Senate. Additionally, the Lottery Commission says it will limit retailers to no more than 5 of these machines. The commission says every terminal is registered on a system that it can access, and that's part of how it exercises oversight. This is part of an ongoing coverage from our team, and so you can find some of that online.
Going in depth now, this all started with a Sunset Advisory Commission's report over the summer. It outlined issues with the Texas Lottery Commission. Among the findings that KXAN highlighted at the time include the state's Lottery Commission is insufficiently involved in its role. But it also found specific issues with overseeing charitable bingo operations, calling for significant improvements with auditing and inspecting licenses. Likely the biggest point from the Sunset Commission, despite all the issues, the state does need the Lottery Commission. It cited a record number of sales as a need for a regulatory arm and the problems that could happen trying to shift that burden onto another state agency.
First warning weather.
We want to take you outside now for a live look over downtown Austin. Goodness gracious, that is a gorgeous picture. Let's just hang out on this for a little bit. I wish we could.
Why not?
Wish we could, but Freddie Vela is tracking our temperatures for us, and so he is going to let us know what's going on out there.
That's right. Overall, it's been an absolutely beautiful morning. We had some fog earlier, but now let's take a look at what our current temperatures are at this point. We're looking at 60 degrees in Bastrop, 66 in Austin, 67 out towards Georgetown, Marble Falls at 72. Mason, though, and Llano already up in the 80s out there, and that's because they've been in sunshine a lot longer than everyone else has compared to 60s and 65 as you get out towards Giddings. My camera messed up, but that's all right. I'll advance it past that. Here's a look at your satellite and radar at this point. We're looking at still a few clouds out there, but mostly out towards Bastrop and Giddings and Rockdale compared to everywhere else in Austin and out towards Fredericksburg. Over the course of the day today, we do anticipate for us to move up into the mid-70s at around 5 p.m., be around 75 degrees. I may have to even raise that just a bit more because I feel like with that sunshine and the warmth that's flowing in, we may get up back up to 77 one more time. Coming up, we're going to be discussing the nice days ahead, a cold front that's on the way and how that'll affect you and then your weekend rain chances, especially with NASCAR heading here to Austin over the weekend.
Thanks, Freddie. Today, there's continued confusion over a deadline issued for millions of federal workers.
They had until Monday at midnight Eastern time to recap their past week at work, but last night, Elon Musk posted on social media saying that workers would get a second chance to do that. On his social media platform X, he wrote this, quote, subject to the discretion of the president, they will be given another chance. Failure to respond a second time will result in termination. All of this started on Saturday when the Office of Personnel Management emailed more than 2 million federal workers, giving them until midnight Monday to summarize last week's work accomplishments in 5 bullet points. The email did not mention anything about their jobs being on the line. However, on social media, Musk wrote that failure to reply would be taken as a resignation.
Several agency heads told their workers not to respond. At the Department of Justice, the Assistant Attorney General for Administration said workers did not need to respond because of the confidential and sensitive nature of the department's work. A former federal prosecutor is critical of how this request is being handled.
The execution of this email was terrible and seems to have been sent out with almost no coordination from the actual agency heads who were appointed by this administration.
President Trump calls Musk's latest method to cut the federal government genius. Sources told NBC News that the responses are expected to be fed into an artificial intelligence system. That system will then determine whether these jobs are necessary. The Veterans Affairs Department dismissed more than 1,400 probationary employees. The VA says some of those positions are diversity, inclusion, and equity related. The department says the dismissals will save more than $83 million each year. It adds that that money will be redirected back toward health care, benefits, and services for veterans. The VA let 1,000 workers go just earlier this month.
A federal judge says the Trump administration can continue to deny the Associated Press full access to coverage. The White House barred the AP from getting into the Oval Office and onto Air Force One. This is after the outlet refused to change its style on the Gulf of Mexico after President Donald Trump renamed the area to the Gulf of America. The wire service says the administration violated the First Amendment by refusing access. The White House says asking the president questions in the Oval Office and on Air Force One is a, quote, privilege, not a legal right. Welcome back, everybody. We are taking a live look out at COTA, which we know is going to be filled this weekend with some big events. We've actually spoken to a couple of the racing stars. You can find those interviews on our website, KXAN.com right now, and details on what's going on out at COTA. For now, a beautiful day. Freddie and Rich are tracking those temperatures for us. They'll have more in your full forecast coming up in just a bit. First, costs keep climbing as another major restaurant chain announces an egg-based surcharge.
And consumers are still struggling to find the household staples in stores at a reasonable price. NBC's Aaron McLaughlin has the latest.
Amidst the nationwide scramble for eggs,
this egg shortage thing is actually in full effect.
Prices continue to soar to record highs.
Sometimes we go shopping and we don't come back with any eggs because there's just aren't any.
According to the USDA, a dozen large eggs will now run you more than $8 on average, up 4% from earlier this month. The crisis tied to rampant cases of the bird flu, spreading through flocks nationwide.
The 2468 value menu is back for a limited time.
Major chains like Denny's now joining the food fight, confirming that some of their restaurants will temporarily add a surcharge to every meal that includes eggs, calling the move a fluid situation. Joining other breakfast staples like Waffle House.
The biggest thing to understand is it's a temporary thing. If you raise prices, you generally raise prices permanently. If they're putting a surcharge in, eventually they're planning to take it out. In theory.
And at the supermarket, when you can find the coveted cartons, some stores like Trader Joe's and Costco are limiting the amount customers can buy at any one time. At the Make My Cake bakery in Harlem, New York, owner Aaliyah Baylor has been cracking eggs for her concoctions for the last 30 years.
Customers can repeat what my prices were in 1995. So some of them are debatable. I'd be like, I don't think it was that low. But
considering her signature German chocolate cake requires 30 egg yolks per batch for the frosting alone, she says she's tried her best to avoid passing along the extra cost to her customers.
I've resisted it, and yes.
How long can you hold out?
It's about another week. It's another week.
All right, we're counting down the days until the first day of spring. And in case you're wondering when that actually is, well, that's all the way out towards March 20th. It feels like a long time away, but it's actually less than a month away. And it kicks off at 4:01 a.m. on that day. So just keep that in mind as we're counting down, and any of the days you see now are still technically winter days. 76 degrees in Fredericksburg, 80 degrees right now in Mason, 81 in Llano, 66 in Austin, 65 in Giddings and San Marcos at 65. You can see the clear divide here of where we saw a majority of the fog and the cloud coverage earlier in the day compared to where we did not. And the clouds breaking apart out towards the east of I-35, so that will allow for all of us to start joining in on that upper 70s, lower 80s fun. As we look out towards the rest of the state, everyone now in the clear as we look at sunnier skies for pretty much everyone, and that's going to last with us throughout the day today. Tonight, mostly clear, but as we go on, you get a bit more clouds and fog returning once again. By the time we get to 7 a.m., same thing as what we saw today. Where's that clear line? Right around Dripping Springs to Georgetown. Clearer skies out towards Mason and Llano, foggier and cloudier out towards the east, and then that all goes. As we get in Wednesday into Thursday, a front starts to arrive. Wednesday night overnight into Thursday, and that'll drive down our temperatures for Thursday itself. In fact, as we look at your next 7 days with the temperatures overall, that front comes in, takes us down to about 69 degrees, which is actually right around average. His average around this time of year is 68. Then we slowly start to warm up as we get into Friday and Saturday and Sunday. But the rain chances are still there for Sunday itself. All right, as we look at a wider view of that front actually arriving Wednesday into Thursday, we'll get a bit of cloud coverage as we start to come in, but that front will push through. No real massive amount of rain chances out there. You get a little spotty shower or two, and that's pretty much it. Most of the activity will remain farther down towards the Gulf more than anything else. As we get into Friday, clearer skies, same out towards Saturday. Get a few clouds out there, and that's pretty much it. Now, as we look out over the 7 days, first day of Ramadan, 71 degrees. There's the cloud coverage that kind of disappears as that front comes in. We get out towards Saturday into Sunday, 30% chance of rain there. As we get into Sunday afternoon, 74 degrees. Let's go ahead and send it over to Rich Siegel.
All right, the numbers for January 2025 are in, and it was the Earth's warmest January on record, beating 2024. The average global temperature in January, this takes into account land and water, was 55.8 degrees Fahrenheit, an increase of 35 degrees over pre-industrial levels and an increase of 33, just about 33 and a half, higher than that 30-year period of 1991 to 2020. What made it unusual is that it happened during a La Nina. La Nina developing in December, carried on into January, still ongoing right now. La Nina, typically a cooler period phenomena. January 25, again, warmer than 2024. Last January 2024, we had an El Nino, which is a period of warmer weather. And as we mentioned in our first hour, here in the U.S., we were actually one of the few locations that were cooler than the average. Our lower 48 temperature averaged out to 29.2 degrees Fahrenheit, which is lower than the average by just about 1 degree.
Welcome back, everyone. Texas is home to more women veterans than any other state in the country. In a report released just last year, the Texas Veterans Commission estimated there are more than 207,000 women who served in the military and now live here in Texas. Those numbers are only expected to climb by about 7% over the next 5 years.
With that in mind, the Veterans Commission is focusing its efforts on helping this growing population. And because it is such a growing population, we have got an incredible crew of folks here joining us to talk about it today. So since there are so many of us today, I'm going to go down the line and introduce, maybe give people a little wave so they know who you are and they can put a face to what you are doing in this incredible work. So Sharon Stewart, who is the Women Veteran Coordinator with the Texas Veterans Commission, and then Nina Guilford, who is the Program Coordinator for Dress for Success Austin, Program Manager, forgive me there. Okay. And then lastly here on the end, Naja Clay, an Army veteran who's going to talk about her experience as well. So thank you all for being here. I know
absolutely.
Each of you has an incredible different role to play in reaching this population. But Sharon, we want to start with you. So give us a sense about what kind of assistance you hear from women veterans. What do they need? And then how do you all step into that space and offer that assistance?
Yes, ma'am. Our role at the Texas Veterans Commission with the Women Veterans Program is to assist women veterans to connect to benefits and services. And right now, it seems like some of the highest needs, biggest needs they have is networking, employment, filing for VA disability, and entrepreneurship.
Lots of systems to navigate there. So what does that look like when you're having those conversations with those women?
Well, if somebody wants to contact TVC, they go to our website, we'll assess their needs, then we'll do a warm handoff, we'll direct them to the right program or department.
And the Veterans Commission also works with organizations outside of its own walls, and that includes the Dress for Success program, which Nina works for. And I just want you to give us a chance and maybe some more information about how you all work in particular with female veterans.
Oh, absolutely. So Dress for Success, their overall mission is to empower women to achieve economic independence, and we do that through various programs. We have about 8 or 9 programs running right now, and one of them happens to be our Veteran Support Program. And through that, we have several opportunities for women veterans to come in and connect with us. Some days, like in November, we have a full head-to-toe makeover, if you will. In between that time, we host workshops virtually and in person where we have panelists like we're having coming up in March. So
something to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so Naja, I want to get to you because you are working with Dress for Success right now, but that's after serving in the military. So give us a bit of your personal story, and then how is that helping you now give back in your work with Dress for Success?
So I got introduced to Dress for Success through Future Business Leaders of America, where I served as the area VP of the state of Texas, and that was back when I was in high school. And unbeknownst to my teachers and maybe even some of my peers, I was actually suffering from homelessness. And just to be very clear, I was kind of living in transience, and I didn't have a lot of opportunities to get resources to better myself. And so working with Future Business Leaders of America with Dress for Success, I was able to get opportunities and learn about resumes, get networking opportunities, learn about transitional stuff for college, which I didn't know Dress for Success assisted with. And then when I went into the military, got out, moved to Austin, I went right back to Dress for Success, and they helped me with refining my resume, refining my cover letter, helped me with a full makeover and also assist me with just navigating a new city. I'd never lived in Austin before. I was born and raised in San Antonio. I was moving from Fort Lewis up in Washington State. So it was really nice to have a community of other women, especially women veterans that were in this kind of transitional phase, looking and seeking to kind of better themselves. I honestly wouldn't be the woman I am today if it wasn't for Dress for Success.
Oh, that gives me chills to hear.
That's such a great place to end that. But Sharon, Nina, Naja, thank you all so much for joining us. And I wish we could talk a little bit more, but unfortunately time is tight. But we appreciate y'all's work.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
After a murder suspect is released from jail, changes are coming to the systems that monitor cases.
The Travis County District Attorney's Office told us that it will put more systems in place and conduct a review. This is in response to the case against Stephen Morrison. He was originally in jail on an $800,000 bond for the October 2024 murder of KXAN Cage. Court records show a judge reduced that bond to $100. Morrison paid that and was released from jail. The reduced bond happened because prosecutors missed a court deadline to indict Morrison within 90 days. Instead, prosecutors indicted him on the 91st day. Now he's back in custody after his bond went up again.
In a statement to KXAN, the Travis County DA's office wrote, quote, "Our office is currently conducting a review of all our in-custody cases to ensure that prosecutors are working to secure indictments both quickly and also responsibly." The office went on to say, while there are reasons a case may take longer than 90 days to present to the grand jury, including because of a lack of evidence in some cases, it's unacceptable for a case to remain unindicted due to a lack of care. The DA's response comes after State Senator Sarah Eckhart asked how many deadlines similar to Morrison's went without action.
For more context on this case and how prosecutors missed that 90-day deadline, you can go to this story at our website, KXAN.com.
First warning weather.
We want to take you out live to a look over downtown Austin because these beautiful, warm, dare I say, spring-like temperatures continue this week.
It's almost like winter who? We want to check in now with meteorologist Freddie Vela. Freddie, you were tracking all this for us, and I got to say, we got to tip our hat to you maybe because of how nice it is. I think you should take credit for that.
I should, but Mother Nature is Mother Nature and do what it will. In fact, as we look over the next couple of days, things look like they're going to be the same. Now, I want to talk about two things, and the first thing is Ramadan starts this Friday, so let's talk about what the temperatures will be like on day one, 71 degrees out there. But the other thing is obviously sunrise, sunset is going to be very important on these days. On Friday itself, we have our sunset at 6:29 p.m. But I want to jump ahead about a week and 2 days as we get into Saturday the 8th and Sunday the 9th. Saturday the 8th, sunset is at 6:34 p.m. On Sunday the 9th, it jumps to 7:35 p.m. because of daylight saving time. We're going to jump ahead by an hour. And of course, that'll mean that we're going to move our clocks ahead by 1. So keep that in mind as we go into next weekend. All right, here's a live look at our Southeast Austin Circuit of the Americas camera. Still seeing clear skies out there. Temperatures at this point, 66 in Austin, 65 in San Marcos, Fredericksburg at 77, Georgetown at 67, and Bastrop at 70 degrees with clear skies across pretty much everyone. Bastrop still has just a couple of clouds out there, but mostly clearing up as well. Overall, satellite and radar still continues to show clear skies. And as we get into the weekend, our biggest thing that we're going to be watching is the chance of rain on Sunday, not on Saturday. We'll take a look at the nice days ahead, the cold front coming, and your weekend rain chances overall. That's in your first warning weather.
Thanks so much, Freddie. On Monday at the White House, President Trump met with French President Emmanuel Macron, who tried to convince President Trump to maintain support for Ukraine while not rushing a hasty peace deal with Russia.
That meeting comes as Europe faces a future without the guarantee of ironclad American support. During that meeting, President Trump said he hopes the war in Ukraine comes to an end soon. President Macron agreed, but said it's crucial any peace agreement does not amount to surrender for Ukraine. The U.S. is currently holding talks solely with Russia over an end to the fighting. However, Ukraine has not taken part in any of that.
There's been ongoing discussion of European peacekeeping troops stationed in Ukraine once the fighting ends. President Trump said he believes Russian President Vladimir Putin would accept that arrangement. However, the Kremlin has previously indicated it would not accept that. European leaders generally say they are concerned about a settlement that doesn't include security guarantees backed up by the United States.
This is where we are ready to be engaged. As for France, a lot of my European colleagues are ready to be engaged. But we do need this American backup because this is part of the credibility of the security guarantees.
I think it's to the very much benefit of Russia to make a deal and to go on with leading Russia in a very positive way. That's what you have to do. But I really believe that he wants to make a deal. Maybe wrong, but I believe he wants to make a deal.
President Trump will also meet later this week with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer at the White House.
Senate hearings are underway again this week as Republicans work to confirm President Trump's key military leadership nominees. The Senate Armed Services Committee held a hearing this morning for Stephen Feinberg to become Deputy Secretary of Defense. Feinberg would serve as the second highest official at the Pentagon under Trump's pick for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Feinberg is the co-founder of a private equity firm and has a personal net worth in the billions. He also served on an Intelligence Advisory Board during Trump's first term in the White House.
Back here closer to home, city leaders are revisiting changes to regulations for Austin's short-term rentals today.
The early drafts of those ordinance changes are already up on the city's website, and notably, they established that short-term rental operators would need a license to run that rental. Think of those as Airbnb or Vrbo rentals. They also established that operators would need at least $1 million in liability insurance for the rental.
The largest change here is penalizing operators for violating city requirements, such as noise ordinances. The ordinance draft says that violators would have to pay $500 for every day that violation continues. Much of these changes come after the city gathered feedback from the public, including earlier this month. The overall input was mixed.
We need the Planning Commission and the Council to understand that these unstaffed hotels are not appropriate for our neighborhoods.
That City Council work session started earlier this morning at 9.
Getting to and from the many public parks here in the city of Austin just got a whole lot easier. The Parks and Rec Board approved a pickup van service that will help connect visitors to our parks and other rec sites.
We know this is going to be welcome news for a lot of people because it's all in an effort to curb that congestion you've likely seen in parking lots, especially on beautiful days like today. If you've been on a nice day to, say, a place like Zilker, you know parking can be a premium, very stressful sometimes. So this new program wants to help ease the demand for parking that also could lead to high prices. It also allows people to get where they are going on demand. So you would get picked up from where you are and taken to one of our city parks. It's similar to the Cat Metro pickup service. And it serves as another option for people. As we know, bus routes are on fixed schedules that may not always work for people. Those existing Cat Metro pickup services also are only allowed to operate in certain designated zones. Parks and Recreation Board members say this would be a win-win for the city.
Expanding this citywide would allow equitably people from all areas of the city of Austin to access large public facilities.
Already, the city has about 400 of these vans ready to go. It estimates it could handle about 28,000 riders each day. Rides will cost you $1.25, and kids can ride for free. We'll let you know when that service is officially up and running. Thanks again for joining us here on KXAN News at 12. We are showing you a live look right now from High, Texas. Not a cloud in the sky out there. Temperatures warming up nicely as well. We'll get you an update about what's in store for the rest of the week with Freddie and Rich here in a few moments. One group has conducted a very interesting study to see the effects of going 1 month without a smartphone. James Ford reports on what they found.
Look in any direction and you see it.
I actually rely on my phone like 90% of the time.
People scrolling, watching, navigating with their smartphones.
Maybe all the time.
It comes to the point where my eyes start hurting.
Yeah, your eye turns red.
It starts hurting. I had eye drops.
Because of smartphone involvement that intense, some university researchers recruited nearly 500 people ages 18 to 74 to be without their smartphones for a month-long study. It may sound worse than it was.
We didn't block texting or phone calls, so people could still talk to loved ones from anywhere at any time. We didn't tell people they couldn't use the internet at home. You could still do everything the internet has from a laptop or an iPad or a desktop.
Professor Adrian Ward was one of the researchers. Here's some of what they found.
Because we also did hear from participants that the first couple days of blocking mobile internet are tough.
That's consistent with what we heard from people here in the city with the most cell phones who'd given up their phones for like a week.
The first days were hard, and then like afterwards I just felt like I was living life.
That's what the study found, and that good feeling increased over time. People in the study reported their mood improving by 71%, their well-being improving by 73%. The research also measured the attention levels of people once they put down the smartphones. 91% improved in at least one of the areas studied.
It's a little bit difficult to adjust, but it turns out we can do pretty much everything without them.
James Ford reporting that story. Going in depth here, Texas lawmakers have proposed bans to mitigate the use of cell phones in classrooms. The most notable bill filed by Texas Republican Representative Ellen Troxclair. Meanwhile, she has some support for that idea from the commissioner of the Texas Education Agency. Mike Morath previously said he supported a cell phone ban in public schools in the state, saying cell phones in classrooms are harmful for student learning. So far, here in our area, Lake Travis Independent School District debuted a cell phone ban during the first week of school last August. The superintendent there says that ban was met with positive reception from both parents and students alike.
I don't know if we could do it, but people apparently did.
Maybe not for our job, but you know, it is an appealing thought to say, I don't have this phone tethered to me all the time. I don't have to look at it all the time.
I wish.
But yeah.
If you all were watching before the commercial break, you saw me take my phone and pretend to chuck it across the studio. I think that got caught on the studio camera there.
I caught it so it didn't break.
No cracks. Yeah.
You know,
good catch, Rich.
Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're not. And I will admit, I am addicted to it. I shouldn't have it in my bedroom at night, but I do. You know, what the heck is going to happen at 2:30 in the morning?
Right. Or waking up right when you get up and looking at it.
I have a friend who would do that where, you know, one time I went over and the phone charger was way on the other side of the room. And I said, what is it doing over there? And he's like, I don't use it at night. Before I go to bed, I go charge it and I go to my bed.
Leave it there.
And it's over there. And that's it.
I keep telling myself part of the reason I have it in my room is because, you know, I get up early 5 days a week, 3 a.m. on the weekend and 4:30 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I used my phone as a secondary alarm.
There you go.
Backup alarm.
Yeah, that's a heck of an excuse.
It works.
It works. And so is what's happening outside right now. It's working in our favor to give us some sunshine. Here's a look at your satellite and radar at this point. We're continuing to see the clearer skies for the rest of your Tuesday. And it's going to be a fantastic Tuesday, if a tad warm outside. There's a few spots that are already moving back up into the 80s, and that's out towards the hill country. The metro is starting to make a run for that, too. So I got to be watching those temperatures because we may have to bump up the numbers. As we look right now, we're still seeing clear skies all across the state of Texas, and that's going to last with us throughout the day today. Very similar weather pattern that we're seeing today that we saw yesterday. Fog in the morning, partly cloudy by the midday, clearer by the afternoon, and then we get out towards tomorrow morning. We're looking at foggy in the morning, partly cloudy for the early into midday, and then not as much clearing towards the afternoon. We'll still get a decent amount of sunshine for Wednesday. And this is all ahead of that next front that's going to be flying through overnight from Wednesday into Thursday, and as it does, you'll start to see a bit of a clearing with that as well. You may get a little bit of a spotty shower or two, but I don't see too much actually picking up, especially as we get farther out into Thursday. I expect that that to be drizzle, if anything. And then we're back up to mostly cloudy, mostly clear skies by Friday and Saturday. Sunday, we do have a little bit of a rain chance there, too. In fact, even as we look at your Echo Park Grand Prix forecast for the Circuit of the Americas, especially as we reach out towards Sunday, put a 30% in there, but that's should have an asterisk and just say later on in the afternoon into the evening hours, because I don't see it affecting the daytime itself. Temperatures should be from 76 to 74. We'll get mostly cloudy for Sunday, and then we'll get a little bit of drizzle as we get out towards the afternoon into the evening hours. Again, I don't expect this to be a widespread thunderstorm or anything, so I don't expect any delays with any of the races. As we look out towards Sunday at 10:30, that's actually when this model is saying, well, you may get a little bit of rainfall out there, and then that's pretty much it. It just clears out as soon as it arrives, and then we're pretty much done. Cloudy conditions will remain, though, as we get out towards Monday, so keep that in mind. And then another front is expected to arrive going into Tuesday. Rain chances over the next 7 days, less than 1/10 of an inch expected out towards the west, and then about 1/10 of an inch out towards a 1/4 of an inch as you get farther out towards the east. So 7-day forecast, only big drop we have is from Wednesday into Thursday, and even then you'll notice it's less than a 10-degree drop here. As we get into the weekend, temperatures back up to the mid-70s pretty quickly, and then we'll stay there as the weekend goes on. Let's go ahead and send it over to Rich Siegel with a look at national weather.
All right, we have some very nice temperatures across the country. Not so many places reporting unusually cold weather. These are normal temperatures, actually maybe a little bit warmer than normal. 45 right now at Minneapolis, D.C. at 61, New Orleans 65, 75 in Phoenix. We have precipitation in the northeast, the northwest, through the lower end of the Great Lakes, some rain across parts of eastern Ohio into Pennsylvania, New York. Some of that may be a little bit freezing precipitation too. We're seeing the freezing precipitation change over to rain through the upper Midwest and the upper Missouri River Valley, and some rain and some mountain snow in the Pacific Northwest. Travel issues today do not seem to be too many of them. We're finding most of them for 3 o'clock and on to 6 o'clock up at SeaTac, the Seattle-Tacoma area. But for the most part, it looks like a decent weather travel day. That does not mean that some of these flights may not leave or take off on time. So, as we always suggest, that if you do have a flight coming in or you're leaving, that you do want to check with the airline for those potential delays. And that's a look at national weather.
A spacecraft developed by an aerospace company in Cedar Park has finally completed its lunar orbit. Blue Ghost is set to land on a crater on the moon this Sunday. According to the company, Firefly Aerospace, the spacecraft will deliver 10 science and technology instruments to the lunar surface. It's all part of NASA's commercial lunar payload services. This initiative will capture images of a total lunar eclipse and provide data on lunar sunsets. Our senior science reporter, Eric Henriksen, has been following all of this journey of the Blue Ghost. If you'd like to find out more about that, you can head to KXAN.com and just search for this story right here. We make it easy for you.
How cool is that?
I know, really cool images there coming out of that.
Yeah.
The best image, though, today, I'm so sorry, it's the blue skies that we've been showing you all on our Estonian camera. Yeah. I'm like, I could just kick back.
So true.
And stare at that.
Wonderful outside. Tonight, too, we're going to be dropping down to 55. It was still a bit cold this morning. And while we're not down to freezing, you'll still need a light jacket if you're going to be outside for a prolonged period of time. 55 overall. Winds coming in from the south, anywhere between 5 miles per hour to 10 miles per hour, maybe even a little less. And then tomorrow, we're rebounding back up into the mid-70s, 76, with a bit stronger winds coming in 10 to 20 miles per hour. And if they do pick up a bit more, though, expect for us not to see as much fog. But if we stay around that 10 mile per hour mark, then we'll definitely see some fog, especially in the same spots we saw it today and the day before. The 7-day forecast shows that front coming in Wednesday into Thursday, taking our temperatures down to 69 degrees by Friday, 71. And we're off to the races again into the mid-70s, which is actually around 8 degrees warmer than where we should be, with a chance of rain on Sunday night. But folks, I am excited because Friday and Saturday and Sunday, NASCAR at Circuit of the Americas.
That's right.
I will be out there. Tomorrow we're
riding?
The what?
Are you riding?
No, absolutely not. My dad used to drive a dragster when I was younger, and I'd go to the races all the time.
Well,
so
this
there
is
you go.
perfect then.
That's where I actually learned how to drive. Yeah, so if you see me
from an early age, yeah.
So why.
You know why.
Expert driver, that's for sure. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. We will see you back here in about 30 minutes with another update on your headlines and your forecast. So stay with us. Enjoy your afternoon, though. Take care.